I just got this from College Football Source. Wisconsin update. Graham Mertz, in all likelihood, had COVID prior to the game against Illinois, but tested negative, was at all the team activities leading up to the game, so it spread throughout the team. A significant number of positives this week. Game with Nebraska growing doubtful. The Big Ten didn't build in buys into its schedule. We don't know the extent of this. Once again, this is just a source who has been on and been correct with everything that he's given me throughout this college football season, and just said that there's a lot of positive tests, positive results with the Wisconsin football team, and that game is growing doubtful. Game against Nebraska. I got a text at 10:10 a.m. this morning. That would be the a.m. part of this morning, and it was an update on Wisconsin football. Their quarterback, Graham Mertz, according to my source, in all likelihood had COVID prior to the game against Illinois, but tested negative, was at all team activities leading up to the game, so it spread throughout the team. A significant number of positives this week. Game with Nebraska growing doubtful, and the Big Ten didn't build buys into their schedule. Multiple reports have the Wisconsin game against Nebraska that is being canceled. Wisconsin football team will pause all team-related activities for at least 7 days due to an elevated number of COVID-19 cases within the Badgers program. Game against Nebraska on Saturday will not be played. And I don't believe they can make up these games. Plus, you're quarantined for 3 weeks, 21 days. Yes, Tom.
What's going through Larry Scott, Pac-12 commissioner's mind, and the Pac-12? They're supposed to get started next week, and you start seeing stuff like this. That's a little scary. They're finally agreeing to play.
Yeah, Paul.
What's going through their mind is probably they should have stuck with the SEC's plan, and that's what the Big Ten should have done weeks, and they would have had wiggle room and built in bye weeks and things like this. If this happens to the SEC, they have room to move things. The Big Ten going in, going out, going in is why they're there now.
So I don't know how many of these players are going to miss the next 3 games. You're going to miss the Nebraska game. They have Michigan coming up. Who else do they have, McLovin?
I think Indiana coming up. That might be outside of 3 weeks. By the way, sorry if you already said this. The coach has it too. Paul Chryst.
Yeah.
12 players now. So, yeah, I don't know when they play Ohio State. Hold on. Let me
look at their schedule.
So next week, Nebraska canceled, hosting Purdue, hosting going to Michigan, going to Northwestern, hosting Minnesota, hosting Indiana.
Well, that's okay. I only care about the next 3 weeks here.
So, yeah, I don't see Ohio State on here. So I guess, because it's Big 12, everyone can't play everyone. So it looks like the real win is 11-14 at Michigan.
Yeah, Paul.
And a lot of people had Wisconsin, a second favorite to get out of the Big Ten if they could somehow beat Ohio State in the Big Ten title game.
There are some people who are reporting the SEC went away from antigen testing because of false positives, but the test also produced false negatives. Looks like it could have happened here. Also, false negatives were reported, the reported route of a Baylor outbreak as well. But there's no room for error here in the Big Ten. You had a finite amount of weeks to get these games in, and then hopefully you're going to be able to qualify for a bowl game or the Final Four. That's what you're hoping for Ohio State here. But now these other schools are going to be impacted. You're playing less games than the SEC and the Big 12 and the ACC just to start out with. But yeah, this is a big deal in Wisconsin. Yeah, Paul.
Oh, I was going to say, that's even more, that false negative, like, you can think that you're clean and spread it to people. That's like not just football, but everywhere. That's kind of scary.
Yeah, but the fact that your star quarterback likely had COVID prior to last week's game, but tested negative, and then he's at all the team activities, and then your other quarterbacks, they test positive as well. Your head coach tests positive as well. This is the kind of situation due to the the protocol here in quarantining. This is 21 days, and you have no bye weeks. And these games are not going to be able to be played. Like, I don't know how many more positives you're going to have. Like, how many would it take before Wisconsin just says, we can't field a football team? I don't know the outbreak. And your head coach. And I don't think these are forfeits. I think they're called no contest. nobody wins, nobody loses, I think, is maybe the language there with the Big Ten. Yes, McLevin.
But isn't it a rush to get enough games where they can get into the Final Four? Like, what's that number supposed to be? Like, what do you have to get?
Well, I think you're trying to get 8 games. The only way that this would happen for Ohio State, now, if Ohio State plays all 8 games, which might be unlikely now, then that you pass the site test. That's what my source told me when this first started. Could they play 8 games? And how good do they look in those 8 games? Well, they look good in week 1 against Nebraska. But, style points is what you need. Now, if all of a sudden you're playing 5 games, 6 games, I think you're going to be hard-pressed to try to get a team from the Big Ten into the Final Four. Because I think the SEC and the ACC are probably going to go, wait a minute, we're playing 10 games. You guys are playing 6. Yeah, McLevin.
And I'm looking at Ohio State's schedule. They have some easy games, too. Penn State is a tough one, but then Rutgers, Maryland, Indiana might be tough. Illinois, Michigan State, who looks like they're down. And then the last game being Michigan in Columbus.
Yeah. There's some a player has tested positive for COVID with the Texans. Their facility has been closed. They didn't mention who the player is, I don't think. But the Texans announced earlier this morning they're closing their team facility. A player tested positive on Tuesday night. Did the Texans play this weekend?
No, they're on a bye week.
Okay, so that at least helps them a little bit. Every time you think, okay, maybe they've got it figured out, they don't. Like baseball had 58 consecutive days, and then you have a player test positive in Game 6 of the World Series. The Big Ten, great weekend. Now you have this. Like this could impact Wisconsin's season. I mean, it is impacting it from the standpoint of, are they going to have a season? And how many players are going to test positive? And your head coach has tested positive. Your star quarterback has tested positive.